Today in the crypto space, we're seeing the market looking pretty good. Bitcoin right around $60,000, up approximately 2%. Ethereum holding steady slightly above the $2,500 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are looking pretty good. We have Tron, Matic, AVAX, BTT, and Brett doing very well. Many others are doing very well, in fact. And, you know, at the end of the day, the question is, are we going to get a continuation to the upside? Are we going to continue showing the strength where Bitcoin starts to break out and bring the rest of the market with it? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that we covered in last night's live stream that definitely is looking really healthy, and that project is called Microvisionchain. Space is the ticker. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it does not matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's begin looking at this general market. We'll scrape through the top 100. Let's take a look at the market cap. It's been rising, doing pretty good here. Made a slightly higher high here, looking pretty good after a slightly higher low. Higher highs, higher lows. There's a bit of a trend happening here to the upside with regards to market cap. Now, of course, we want to get to the 3 trillion, which is previous highs, all-time highs pretty much. And then we're looking for, you know, price discovery, and we want to see some capital enter the market. We want to see the retail investors getting in here and bringing some capital, investing in some of these bullish projects that we talk about here on the channel. And guys, if you missed out on yesterday's live stream, of course, 8 p.m. EST is when I go live. I take requests from the community. I look at charts. I give you some updates and on fundamentals and whatever I got going on with fundamentals. I do a lot of deep dive research, and you know, I kind of share my thoughts on some of the projects. And yesterday we talked about Microvisionchain, and Microvisionchain has been doing really good. So of course we're going to be talking about that TA in a second. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator to see what's going on with the Bitcoin price, because if Bitcoin does well, we should see, at least going sideways, we should see you know, the rest of the market basically do well. As also, we want Ethereum also to do well. We want these altcoins to show strength, and so on and so forth. So as we do see the trading volume rise, and in the short term we're seeing a bit of a rise here, which is good. That means that we got market participation, and we're also getting higher highs and higher lows on the market cap. It leads me to believe that slowly we're getting interest. Now at this point we were coming down, volume was coming down, but we were getting a bit of a divergence here, whereas the market cap was rising and the volume was still falling. So I finally see that we're, you know, getting some follow through from the divergence, where we're seeing that the volume is kicking in. People are seeing the market cap rise, and a bit of FOMO is kicking in. And FOMO, you know, to a degree is very healthy. Why? Because it gets your attention. We want to keep our eyes on these bullish projects. We want to keep our eyes on the market. We want to be attentive to the signals that we get from the market so that we can, you know, continue DCAing, continue doing our research, continue being actively involved in the community. And when we see the market cap rise, it's an indication that we're getting more capital by the general market into the market. So that's very important. We do see that Bitcoin in the last little bit has been going sideways for a bunch of days, over 150 days, 170 days, many days going sideways, boring. So at every moment that we see a bit of volatility, especially to the upside, people get excited. Although we did get that in the last bit, we are also getting a bit of a rejection in the last little while. So, you know, it's all about time frames, right? It's all about time frames, big picture, sideways. Midterm, okay, we've been doing pretty good here, trying to push to the upside within the week or last few days. within the few hours we've been getting a rejection. So not a good look, right? So in the short term, but big picture, what we really want to do is see Bitcoin break out of its structure, and we'll talk about that in a second. If you haven't been following Bitcoin in the structure and the price action, I'll definitely do a recap for you guys, and then we'll take a look at Microvisionchain. Ethereum going sideways, planking, not really interesting, but we need Ethereum to wake up here, lead the altcoins to where they need to go into that altcoin season. Ethereum, you have the market cap necessary to make that Bitcoin dominance fall. And that would be a great indication that we are getting the altcoin season. So Ethereum, we have to be rooting for Ethereum, the layer twos, the whole ecosystem behind Ethereum, because ultimately that's what's going to, change the sentiment of the market. And it's going to bring a little bit of that healthy FOMO, fear of missing out, because you could be missing out. That's the reality. As long as that emotion is not overtaking the reality, a bit of FOMO is absolutely healthy. So you can keep focused on the prize, which is, are we going to start moving here? So keep focused, because you don't want to miss out for sure. BNB looking great, right? 10% to the upside, actually 9.2%, pretty good. Expanded to the upside very nicely. Currently looking for consolidation. Do we consolidate, or do we retrace and pull back and come all the way back down? If we go sideways, healthy moment to potentially look for a continuation to the upside. But really, BNB has been showing a lot of strength, while the rest of the market looks a little bit sideways, but some of them are doing good. Like, look at Tron, guys. I've been talking about Tron every night, and I'm not a big investor or put a lot of interest in Tron, but as an indication of what's happening in the market, to see Tron wake up like this, I've seen this happen in previous cycles where Tron starts to wake up because of the USDT basically inflows and outflows. And in this case, where is the capital going? I think people are starting to consider that we need to get stables going. We need to be prepared to accumulate, and that could be why we see Tron waking up here. Dogecoin kind of doing good here, at least going sideways, but it is making a higher high. Not bad of a scenario. Confirmation high, and then the confirmation low is what we need. And as we keep on going down, we see some of the larger caps like AVAX finally breaking out, making a higher high, breaking structure. Maybe big picture, no change of character just yet, but in the short term, we're getting signs of strength. Higher high for AVAX, guys. Not bad here on the 7-day fractal. Continue going down. We have a Polkadot. Polkadot at the end of the day, big, within the short term, the last 24 hours, sideways. And if you look at the last 7 days, it's pretty sideways. But if you look at what happened within the 7 days, we rallied up, and now we're getting a bit of a retracement. So it's not bad altogether. Obviously, we've seen that Polkadot has been underperforming in the last little while, but we also seen other projects underperform and that are kind of waking up. Of course, even Polygon Matic, 5% to the upside, not bad there. And we saw Algorand wake up a little bit. And what is Algo doing today? I'm not going to front run all of this. I'm going to try to keep in sequence. Monero doing well. Okay, being a bit quiet, got delisted on a couple exchanges, but the privacy narrative could be waking up. We know that it's being politicized as well. Not only is crypto and blockchain being politicized, but the concept of privacy is definitely being politicized, and Monero, being an OG in the space, could definitely find some, interest in market participation, which is very, very healthy. FET got a nice pop to the upside, breaking previous local highs. This is a confirmation that we're looking for a trend reversal, and perhaps a confirmation low, a higher low would just solidify that the trend is changing. Look at BitTensor Tau, another project. Look at this small fractal here, slowly picking up momentum, slowly waking up from the depths, and then finally we start getting parabolic, because after each peak and valley, after each time we make a higher high and a higher low, individuals that are looking to build positions in Tau start getting confident because of the higher highs and the higher lows. The trend is your friend. And as that confidence builds, guess what else builds? The position sizes get bigger. The risk factor that you're willing to take gets bigger. So this is obviously an important factor, because as we see the trend pivot to the upside, people are going to start to feel the FOMO, guys. The FOMO is going to start to kick in. Why? Is because, the sell and main go away is over, right? September's around the corner. We know, statistically speaking, leading into the fall is where we start to get, the proof of life of the market. And when else are we going to be taking risks? Statistically, strategically, it should be now, right? So when else are you going to take it? Think about it. Aave doing pretty good. been waking up in the last little while, up 30%, so that's not bad. Congrats if you have your positions in your bags packed in Aave. Arweave woke up very, very nicely, doing very well, up approximately 7%. I am a believer in Arweave's decentralized infrastructure. You guys know that I appreciate decentralization to the maximum. It's not enough for a project to have a token, to slap a token on a Web 2 interface or architecture. We need other architecture that resembles decentralization, obviously using blockchain technology as the front as well. So we need to hold a lot of these projects accountable, and I think Arweave is doing the right thing to create the decentralized backend for a lot of applications that are going to be built in Web3 going forward. So I do appreciate what Arweave is trying to build, and I like Arweave for sure. One of my major picks. Thorchain waking up a little bit, it's up 16% in the last 7 days. Good, nice bullish move to the upside. And as we keep on going down, Phantom slowly grinding, but nothing major. Algorand, like I mentioned before, when you see those sleeping giants, it could be that Algo starts to wake up, right? It could be that Algo starts to wake up, and we know that Algo has been kind of underperforming in the last little bit. But when we start to see these heavyweights start to move, large cap, we're talking about $1 billion market cap, great infrastructure, decent infrastructure. The team is good, obviously very educated and well-versed and all that good stuff. But we need some ecosystem growth, right? And without proper ecosystem growth, you don't have much utility. And if the utility is not there, and it's not enough just to have a great blockchain after a while. After a while, fine, you have a great blockchain, but you need utility, you need application, you need a few meme coins, and you need something happening there. So Algorand, at the end of the day, that's what we're waiting for. Definitely. Celestia not looking the greatest. Let's move on from that. Slow and steady. I did buy a few bags earlier on, small bags, small positions, but I'm waiting to see some strength there again. The Gate is looking interesting, of course, making those higher highs and higher lows, trending to the upside. Great indication that we got market participation back in. Brett, nice pump and getting a bit of a dump in the last little while. BTT looking pretty good, and the list goes on, guys. The list goes on. What is going on with Fast Token? I wouldn't be touching this right now. Yesterday we talked about it live. I talked about it live in the sense that I didn't like the way the price action was looking. I didn't know what was going on there. To be honest, I don't know much about the project. Let me know in the comment section below, or better yet, join the Discord if you want me to do a deep dive on Fast Token or any other project that you're interested in. Feel free to join the Discord and make the request. The community votes on all the deep dives that I do here on the channel, and I think it's a valid time to start looking at some projects that are looking a little interesting, and even on the negative side, what's going on here with Fast Token. Guys, the rest of the market is pretty much following suit. We got a few good gainers, we got some sideways, we got a few dips. The reality is I think the market is still in hard mode. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's do that. After a fat recap of the general market, I think what we have to do is look at what Bitcoin is doing, because Bitcoin is still doing nothing. Unfortunately, the altcoin market and the market in general is waiting for Bitcoin, Ethereum, perhaps even to resolve and to figure out where are we going. Are we going to the upside? Are we going to the downside? Are we still going to go sideways and get this chop action where people get wrecked? Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. Basically speaking, what I'm saying is that Bitcoin is not in the position at the current moment to be a great leading indicator, unfortunately, because I do use it as a leading indicator. However, as this structure continues to mature, we have no choice but to expect it to move after a while. It can't stay like this forever, right? So we have to understand that eventually we're going to move to the upside or to the downside. And in the short term, we're seeing that Bitcoin is not looking the greatest. And this is the daily chart. There's nothing really exciting here. And if you look at the oscillators, fine, we might be getting a nice EMA cross, which we did. Green histogram bars to the upside, an expansion already formed, but it looks like it might be done. Maybe it's something like this. Could it be? Or is it going to eventually evolve and keep on opening up and eventually turn into something like this? Or maybe, let's say, something like that, where it opens up again and turns dark purple. It could happen. My biggest concern is that we stay in the bearish control zone, which is below the zero mark on the oscillator. We want to get above. And if you look at the momentum's still choppy, still sideways here on the daily. Volatility got overbought. Is it time to see the bears respond and get volatility oversold again? And if that's the case, what do we expect for for the volatility. The volatility will come down, and we're going to start looking for a confirmation low, perhaps even a lower low. That's a bit of a concern for me in the short term, that could end up happening. But big picture, remember, statistically speaking, this descending broadening wedge, this megaphone pattern, should break out bullish. You guys know that I've been talking about this pattern for a good while now, over 150 days, and this is the name of the game, guys. What do we do here, right? Let's take a look at lower time frames. 4 hour is looking a bit interesting because it does look like we want to break out here. You know, it does look like a clear inverse head and shoulder. However, like I always tell you guys, the necklines need to be broken, whether they're horizontal necklines, even diagonal necklines, or even slightly slanted diagonal necklines like the one that we see right here. That is, the neckline is pretty much the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. You can see that it's being respected and being used as resistance multiple times. However, we cannot negate the fact that it's still an inverse head and shoulder. Maybe we are invalidating it right now by this dump that we're getting in the short term. You know, it doesn't look good. I'm wondering what's happening with the news. Obviously, you're keeping up what's going on with the latest developments, political, geopolitical, scenarios, economic scenarios coming out of different parts of the world are very important to keep an eye on, because this current movement that we're getting into the downside, it doesn't look really good. If we were meant to break to the upside, we should be breaking out very, very soon. Now, this last little dip could invalidate. However, as long as we stay above this right shoulder and stay right around this area and do not break a lower low lower than this low, right, we're still okay. We're looking for an inverse head and shoulder, right? It's still very valid. Again, this dip that we're getting at the current moment looks pretty bad. Now, what we want to do is break out of this area and eventually, potentially hit some resistance right around this zone. 65,000 could be the target, and that's where I would say, de-risk from a 4 hour structure, a 4 hour setup, and obviously stop loss and take profit. To be honest, it doesn't look the greatest. We need to break above. Would be nice to break above. It would be nice to back test the breakout, get in at this position, and then continue to the upside and put that stop loss right underneath just in case we back down. But we got rejected, and we're continuing to show some sell pressure here in the immediate short term. So not a good look here for Bitcoin. Okay, so that's my take on Bitcoin. Really, big picture on the daily, even this little dip or this dip is nothing. Right? We've been disrespecting the 200 daily. We've been disrespecting horizontal support. Right now, we're below it. Earlier on today and last night, we were out slightly above it, which is good. But we got a quick rejection right off the 50 EMA right here at about 61,500. Could this just be a short-term dip before we continue to the upside? Now, what I also want you to consider is how many people are getting wrecked within this price action. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people getting wrecked right here. I choose to not trade here. I choose to focus on my spot positions. I choose to focus on my portfolio, on portfolio management. I choose to focus on research and improving my understanding on various blockchain technologies that are emerging and keeping up with the trends in the market. And that's what I would suggest everybody be doing at this current moment. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at space. Guys, if you missed out on last night's live stream at 8 p.m. EST, we talked about Microvisionchain. And obviously, we've been talking about Microvisionchain for a good while. We've been talking about Microvisionchain right into here, where, we got great entries here on the channel. We did very well from a price action perspective. And of course, we take profit. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to take more profit here. We came up, divergence, and came down. Obviously, for me, this was a very net positive scenario because I did take profit, and the remaining bag that I do have, yes, it's underwater, but I already taken profit, so I really don't care. The reality is I'm a profitable trader based on this scenario. Now, the question is, what do we do here? If you're like me, an individual like me that's slightly underwater with only the current position, maybe you do have some dry powder because you should have taken some profits. And if you didn't, this is where critical decision making comes, right? From an individual that is holding and trying to see if we get this reversal. Guys, this is scary. I get it. The emotions do come in. Can you imagine how people feel that if they bought the top? Imagine the exit liquidity at these levels. Imagine what happened at these zones, right? These people bought at the top, and had to endure a huge dump all the way below even the previous bear market bottom. And based on a lot of FUD, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that could be justified based on the team, selling tokens. And I do, back up teams that have capital, that, through strategic vesting schedules. The reality is everybody's got to eat, right? And they have to be able to pay themselves. And if it means selling some tokens, this is the name of the game. Now, I think some of the issue was that it was too many tokens. Obviously, guys, do your research. I honestly don't want to get into the FUD aspect of things, but what I want to do is focus on the price action. And the price action does reflect the overall sentiment of the current holders and the overall community. They sold off with some aggression, and you can see they've been selling off based on FUD or fact. I'll leave it up to you to figure that out. But the reality is that here, as we're hitting this bottom, this horizontal level, we're getting a lot of volume and market participation. And what I talked about yesterday was the fact is, if we start to zoom in here at this level, you start to see that we're getting volume based on volume profile. Of course, looking at our horizontal levels and our vertical levels, we're also getting some volume. And what was interesting is, as we got to this level with this double bottom, we were slowly getting a reversal and getting some volume, slowly getting that double bottom. And it would be a lot more clear on the 4 hour, this double bottom right into here, because we did sweep a little bit lower. We got a nice little recovery and a nice rounded bottom. That's a slight Adam and Eve pattern, right? So very nice V recovery, nice rounded bottom. And what's more interesting, of course, is that we're getting some volume into this rise, which means that there's market participation. People are interested and seeing the price go up higher. So if the price is going up higher, technically speaking, we should see potentially a trend reversal. Now, we could still come down, guys. This is very important, is that if you see this structure, it's in its early phases. It is so early that I would say it's very viable even to come down for a lower low. Okay, it's even come down for a lower low is very possible. Let's take a look at the oscillators here for a second. I want to get onto the daily for a second here as well and stick with the daily oscillators, because really, big picture on the daily, nothing has changed here. We're still making lower lows and lower highs here on Microvision Chain. This proof of life is a good indication that we could be building a structure based off of a reversal pattern or even a divergence. Look at the divergences that we've been getting here. Again, covered last night. Before this pump that we're seeing today, we see that overall we're getting these expansions are slowly diverging. We're making higher lows. This expansion was a lot stronger. This expansion is a lot weaker. And we're also seeing a bit of divergence in the momentum. However, at the current state, the momentum is now overbought. Okay, so if you look at every time we get overbought, and if you kind of shrink this price action down and we start looking at overbought conditions, look what happens when we get overbought. Okay, we start reaching tops. Look at what happens when we get overbought. We start reaching tops. Now, it doesn't mark the exact top. It marks a general area where maybe it's very risky to start taking fresh longs. Whereas when you're oversold at the bottom of the level, yes, there's a bit of risk to DCA. Yes, you would have felt the pain for sure. It's slowly grinding to the upside. But as soon as we get follow through from a divergence, even if it's 2 drives, 3 drives of bullish divergence, we start to see major reversal patterns once we start getting out of the oversold state. And currently, I feel like maybe another back test, of course, because it's still very mature. This whole thing is not very mature. It still needs some maturity, meaning a little bit more structure, maybe a confirmation low, a higher low, and then a break of the previous high for a higher high. And then we start calling this a nice pivot point scenario. At this current moment, it's still early, but I appreciate the strength into this first proof of life that we're getting here for Microvision Chain. If you look at from where it's at, from the bottom to where we are right now, just more or less, because we've been getting volatility, bottom to where we are right now, you're looking at about 166%. Okay, so you would have doubled your money getting in on any position at that bottom. And we're talking about the daily, right? So all of a sudden, you're looking at 250% to the top from the bottom. That's significant. That's a significant bounce. So I would be waiting for a back test. I would be waiting for a 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. Let me zoom in here. Then we'll look at the trend for a second. I would be looking for a 0.5 Fibonacci, a golden pocket for sure, a 786, 886. These are areas that I would start looking at, maybe looking for a bounce. So golden pocket is right around here at $1.26. Why not? That could be a level. 786, 886, almost testing the previous lows. As you get closer to the previous lows, your risk to reward improves significantly for a long. So you can put a stop loss underneath the bottoms. You can accumulate into this zone, give yourself a bit of wiggle room for those stop hunts, of course. And in fact, what I would do is get into a small position size where I could put in a very, very deep stop loss, right? Because position size will mitigate your risk as well. And then as I build my position and maybe see that, stop hunt, I could trail up the stop loss and grow my position over time. If we get a confirmation low, a higher low at the golden pocket 786, 886, I want to be DCAing into the zone in preparation for a confirmation or a breakout for a continuation to the upside. What we're looking for at the current moment is a change of character. And a change of character basically suggests that we're no longer going to be making lower lows and lower highs. We want to start to see higher highs and higher lows. And this is what will give tons of strength in the market. If you look at what's happening here with the trend, for example, the current trend is looking good. The trend oscillator is suggesting bullishness. We're getting up there. We're potentially getting into the bullish control zone. EMAs are facing up. We got multiple drives of bullish divergence. We're basically starting to get green histogram bars and flip this from a bearish state to potentially a bullish state. Now again, price action is not giving us any indication of this. Oscillators are, and the momentum is slightly overbought right now, including volatility. However, guys, this is the beginning where we could see that reversal. So what I would be doing here, what I would be doing is waiting for a better structure or confirmations and building my position that way. So let's hypothetically say this. Hypothetically say we start getting in more or less right here, which is the golden pocket. Look at this, guys. Crazy. And then we start putting a stop loss right into here. I know that's an 81% dip, but let's keep that at bay for a second. And then we start looking at, okay, where do I want to de-risk? Where do I want to be really careful? Obviously in the short term, be careful and at any time, because I think that overall we should be getting a bigger structure right into here. But I would be looking for a long-term spot position. This is my opinion, obviously not financial advice. I would be taking a punt on a big reversal for the long term, meaning bull market top type of scenario. And if that were to be the case, let's be very modest and say, you know what? We're not even going to talk about price discovery today. We're going to be looking at just getting back to previous price action where all the emotions are at. And that would say, let's say that it's right around, okay, maybe here, let's be modest. Okay, we'll de-risk right here, or maybe even here, a little bit higher. Okay, so let's keep it modest down here. Your risk to reward ratio right now is 17 to 1. And we're not talking about price discovery. We're talking about getting rejected on these tops, these bottoms. Fine, we get rejected and that's it. Or maybe we go sideways for a year or 3 years. Who knows? Again, I'm trying to be super modest here, because if you shoot for the stars, sometimes you get, basically you get taught a lesson. You want to be very modest, and that way you can take profit and not risk too much. And then of course the stop loss. Is it valid to put the stop loss here? Could we improve our entry? Just even as we speak, we're seeing it run up. Never mind. So I have to redo that. So our before, when I put the setup in, we were down here. All of a sudden now we're up here. You can see how it affects your risk to reward ratio. So buying into a dip is not a bad idea. If you see it retrace at any moment, you might want to get into that dip and get a great risk to reward ratio and slowly trail it up as we do get structure. Now just remember those stop hunts. They could come down, wick the bottom, get a swing failure pattern, and then continue to the upside. And the market tends to want to do that to induce a lot of pain. That's how the market gets people wrecked. And maybe you might want to be prepared for that just in case. So give yourself a bit of wiggle room with that stop loss. But nonetheless, guys, I know you're risking 69%. I get it. But look at the potential gains. You're talking about 1,000% in a possibility, right? 1,200 and being super modest. So the risk to reward ratio is absolutely good. But again, keep in mind your position size matters, because if you get into a fat position size, the capital that you're risking is you're going to be risking about 69 to 70% of that capital with a stop loss place right there. So the only way you can really do this is to be patient. Right? Be patient and get a better entry. Obviously, you can get a better entry down to the 786, like we mentioned before with the Fibonacci's. And of course, now you're improving as you get closer. You can squeeze up the stop losses as the price action gets more mature. But right now, guys, DCA nice and slowly. It's a punt. And what I define a punt as is something that you're taking a lot of risk with. And because of that, position sizes need to be small, and I wouldn't be taking a huge risk here, but it does look good if Microvisionchain overcomes its issues, which a lot of projects do. We've seen it here in the crypto space, tons of FUD, and then total domination after it. Look at Solana, for example. Solana, great gainer, dumped really hard, came down to about $8, and now, guys, it reached its peak and all of that. It's doing its well, and it might even get an ETF. So this is what we really have to understand, is that FUD sometimes is an opportunity, especially if we can clarify the FUD, and especially if we can make sense of the FUD and we can act upon the FUD strategically. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. See you tonight, 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.